All right, here's a short little demo on adding comments to your code. So comments are really helpful as far as leaving notes to yourself or creating organization within your document, and even leaving a credit or a shout out to someone who you may have borrowed some code or derived some inspiration from a website or found an image. Okay, so as an example, let's just begin right after our body element here, and I'll press return, and this is basically how you add a comment. Okay, then I'm going to add a space, and let's just do page begins. Then I'll do a space, hyphen, hyphen, and then our little caret here. Okay, so here's a simple HTML comment, and we place HTML comments in the body of the document, and we can place them in the head of the document, just not inside the style tags. We have to use a JavaScript comment. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so we could have page begins, and then I'll just copy, and maybe what we'll do is right before our first H3, we'll paste this in, and we'll do content begins, and we'll get down to the end of the page, and we'll paste, and we'll change begins to ends. Okay, so that's a simple way to use a comment. Now, sometimes people like to do something like this. So let's drop down after our HR, and we'll create a comment. Now, you have to be careful. Don't continue doing something like this if you want to graphically just create a separation of space, because that could potentially throw an error. So what I tend to do is just use vertical bars like this. Okay, you don't have to leave a space before your hyphens, but you can. All right, so let's just copy. We'll go after that original comment there, paste, and then a lot of times maybe what I'll do is something like this. And we'll just add a couple of verticals. All right. And this is a nice visual break, because you can imagine if you had a lot of code and you were scrolling through your page, it's much easier to see something like this if what you're doing is trying to use the comments to create organization of chunks of content. Okay, if you had these all over the place, well, that would be kind of visually cluttered. So you can use a simple comment to let us know when some content begins or ends, or maybe you're going to credit somebody, maybe you're going to leave a note to yourself. Okay. Now, in the style area of the document, the CSS, now we can place comments here also, but we would use a JavaScript comment, and this is how you would do a JavaScript comment. Okay, and then we would place our comment. Okay, and then we have to close our JavaScript comment. All right, so similar, but obviously a little different. This is a JavaScript content. We use these inside of our CSS styles. This is an HTML document, and we place these in the body of the document, but it's also possible to add, it's also possible to add a comment in the head of the document. Okay, just remember, anytime you're adding a comment to your CSS styles, you have to use a JavaScript comment. In the other parts of the document, you can use the HTML comment.